Welcome to Sound Leadership with DJ, the podcast that dives deep into the world of leadership. If you're passionate about learning from the brightest minds in the field, you're in the right place. In each episode, we embark on an inspiring journey alongside successful leaders, unraveling the secrets behind their accomplishments, from their early beginnings to their current roles. We'll explore the unique paths they travel to reach their present status. We'll dive into their biggest challenges and pivotal lessons and gain invaluable tips for inspiring leaders. Our guest today, Ms. Shawntay Harris, a true trailblazer in nursing and leadership. With over 23 years of experience as a dedicated registered nurse, she has an impressive background in emergency services that has paved the way for her to become the founder and CEO of Emmett Healthcare Resource Consultants. But guess what? That's just the tip of the iceberg. See, Ms. Shawntay is not only a doctoral student, but also the president-elect of the Texas Emergency Nurses Association and a member of the board of Emergency Nurses Association Foundation. Her passion lies in leadership and education, where she works tirelessly to develop a critical, diverse workforce within the emergency nursing community. Shawntay is known for her commitment to creating opportunities for others. Shawntay has left a remarkable mark on the profession. She has been at the forefront of social action policies that have impacted nurses and has broken generational adversities by inspiring and empowering underserved population on health-related issues. See, Shawntay's dedication extends to her involvement in numerous nursing professional organizations, and she's an advocate for nurses to reach new heights. She has developed content that promotes the professional and clinical excellence in the field of nursing. See, with over 23 years in healthcare, she has trained over 240,000 nurses worldwide. Let me repeat that for you. Shawntay has trained over 240,000 nurses worldwide. If that's not remarkable, I don't know what is. As if that wasn't enough, though. She goes deeper. She runs a training center for the American Heart Association and mentor emergency nurses and nurse entrepreneurship. Her commitment to international education knows no bounds. She has mentors course directors for the ENA course across the globe. And today we have the privilege of sitting down with Ms. Shawntay. But before we dive into this exciting episode, Sound Leadership with DJ wants you to stay connected with us and stay up to date by liking our social media pages. You can like our YouTube and our LinkedIn page at Sound Leadership with DJ. When you like those pages, hit that little bell at the top so you can get all of our updates. And remember, you can listen to our podcast on various platforms, including Apple Music, Alexa, iHeart, and so much more. Simply search Sound Leadership with DJ and hit that subscribe button to never miss an episode. Now, it is time for you to buckle up, be inspired, be motivated to be your best self. Welcome, Shawntay. How are you doing today?
Hi, DJ. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Hey, listen, the honor is mine. It's a pleasure to have someone of your caliber on this channel to share your insights on leadership, entrepreneurship, and just all things nursing. You know, I always love talking to my nurses because nurses are the foundation of healthcare. We truly are. We are the backbone of healthcare. And, you know, when I have somebody of your caliber who's here to spread nurse excellence, I am just all ears. So as I always tell people, I started off with that introduction, but it doesn't hold a candle. You know, I talked about some of your accolades and things, but I didn't mention all that extra stuff you have behind your name. So if you can tell us who Shawntay really is.
All right. DJ, I am Shawntay Harris. I am president and CEO of Imminent Healthcare Resources, the president of Texas Emergency Nurses Association. I am the first African-American nurse to hold the title or credential fellow of the Academy of Emergency Nurses. On my wall behind me, I'm a nurse executive advance, and I'm also what we like to call high five in the world of emergency services. That's certified flight, transport, trauma, pediatric, and of course, certified emergency nurse. I've just defended my doctoral project Leadership development, the impact of a virtual leadership webinar that I created on nursing leaders' leadership practices inventory scores. Thank you for having me.
Shawntay, you said something I ain't even heard of. High five. Hold on. You hold all 5 certifications?
Yes, I have. I'm what we call high five, and now we're waiting for Super 6 because BCN just put out a burn certification the last month or so.
Wow. and then you just defended your dissertation on a course that you developed.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow. How do you have time to manage it all? How do you do it all? Just what's the secret for the people
Let me
watching?
tell you, the secret sauce to my success is my staff here at Imminent. It's my staff, my executive assistant, and other contractors that I use. They hold this down for me, which allows me to go out and, be myself.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So this is a leadership podcast, and clearly you're a leader. Like you said, you had a nurse executive board certified. You're a leader. But in your eyes, what is leadership?
Oh, wow. Leadership is actually following. It's not follow the leader. Leaders follow. If we develop good leaders, we develop good staff. And that is what I stand on. That is what my whole world is built around, is leadership development. Because, DJ, if we develop good leaders, great nurses are sure to follow. It's not that we've lost, nursing in our profession. It's on a different path than we've ever seen it before, especially post-pandemic. But we have this opportunity. We have this opportunity in leadership to create a new path for nursing. We don't know what that is, but it's wide open, and we, our profession, can take it on a new pathway. We have that opportunity right now here today.
Wow. And we have it because leaders like yourself have paved the way for young leaders like myself coming up and the next generation of leaders. But how did you get into leadership? What was that journey like?
Oh, wow. Well, of course, in hospital leadership, I was one of the early on that realized that the business background was actually what I needed in order to excel as a leader. So shortly after, about 6 years within obtaining my Bachelor's of Science in Nursing, I had completed my Master's in Business Administration. And that kind of created my path for looking at leadership and nursing from a different lens, which I've always done that my entire career. But it started just as any other leader, most leaders, shall I say, start in hospital.
Wow. So, like you said, you got your MBA, and that opened up doors for you of how you view the field of nursing. But as a leader, once again, you didn't start off as a leader. So did you hold supervisory roles? Did you hold manager roles? What was that like to get to being a CEO?
All right. So charge nurse, team lead, nurse manager, then director, and then, CEO came right behind that, because in 2006, I established Imminent CPR. In 2006 as a capstone for my MBA project. Who knew it would be my lifeline? I didn't know that. But it was established in 2006. So I held all of those traditional roles and kind of figured my way out. And I'll tell you, I'm not meant to my greatness, and I'll admit to some of my weaknesses. Yes. Early on in leadership, I was a little bit too much on the business side. When it came to staffing and getting people out of EDs and ICUs, I was like, hey, let's get them out of here. Too much of numerical. And then the numbers, right? I wasn't the most effective leader because of the business side of me was like, hey, the numbers. And I wasn't as personable as I would consider myself now in leadership. So that was, of course, one of my weaknesses that I admit to. I've had, several courses about. I built leadership development around it and succession planning too, and, kind of moved from there.
Well, that's interesting that you said, one of your weaknesses early on, and you took some advanced education courses to better yourself as a leader. But when we talk about leadership, I think it's important that we focus, especially nurse leaders, right, on the clinical side, but also on the business side. And for some leaders, it's a struggle to understand both. And like you said, you were a nurse at the core, but you were focused on that business side. How do you think that impacted the relationships and your staff when you were first entering leadership? And your focus was, we got to get them out. This is what it's saying. How do you think that impacted them?
So DJ, it was really funny because it wasn't the greatest, thing that I've ever done in my life. Was become a leader that focused on leadership on the business side of nursing early on. It
Yes.
caused such a strain on my staff. One, because they were seasoned nurses. My first big leadership job director was in a resort community, and so I had a lot of seasoned nurses there, 20 to 30 plus years, and I was under 10 years coming in with this huge BSN MBA, and I rule the world, and I'm a nurse, and I know everything, right? And so it was a strain on my staff, and
Yes.
I actually had to let them know, hey, yeah, I'm the leader. This is how it's going to work. And they were like, no, really, this is how this is going to work. So it was a little bit of a strain and a lot of education, and then a lot of us sitting at the table saying, no, wait. You can do this on night shift and this on day shift, and kind of meeting them kind of where they were and kind of working with what they were used to, and then the new wave of doing things. But it was really open communication and a lot of hard conversations.
Ooh. And sometimes us leaders and people don't like hard conversations. They call it confrontation. But I think in leadership, there has to be some level of confrontation. Confrontation is not always bad, right? In order to move progress forward, there has to be some level of confrontation. And I think it goes back to what you said, communication. So as a leader, how did you grow and hone your communication skills?
Oh, wow, it was challenging because I'm from the South. So, we kind of direct. And I was raised that way too, really direct. And so to say, say what you mean and mean what you say, right? And so that was how I was raised. And so I had to learn that that's not always the best way every day, right? Some days it truly is, straightforward, down packed, militant, let's get it done, let's get it over with. And then there's other times as a leader when you have to be that nurturer, that caritas, that caring person, so that you care about your staff, so that they're able to care, for patients. And so I had to learn that, and it wasn't easy. It did not happen overnight. Actually, it took about 4 to 6 years for me to actually seal that type of leadership, kind of mint it and make sure that it worked and could be implemented, in and out of hospital. Because at that time I was still in hospital leadership, and my business was also taking off.
Wow, that's impactful. And you mentioned kind of the militant, right? My understanding is you're a United States veteran. Is that
Yes,
correct?
actually,
So,
yeah.
with that experience you gained from the service, has that shaped some of your leadership style and how you think and how you operate?
I like to say no. I like to say that I'm not a military leader. Yeah, I was a sergeant in the United States Army, but
Hold on, Miss Harris. Can you say that again for the people in the back?
yes, I was a sergeant in the United States Army. I served from 90 to 95 Signal Corps. Yes. There you have it. But no, that doesn't speak to my leadership style. I'm not a militant leader. I'm transformational. I'm a servant. No, I've learned over time. And like I said, really early on, that was hard for me because I was, fresh out the military, and first doing this and first doing that in my family, and, seeing a leader basically all of my life. And then I, came into nursing where I had, basically a different generation that I was leading initially. And so I had to learn that, that military way really doesn't work all the time, especially with my business background.
Yes, yes. Ooh, listen, I'm in awe. So when we talk about, your leadership style, what is transformational leadership? What is servant leadership? Because, as I continue my leadership journey, I identify as a transformational leadership. I identify as a servant leader. But for the people who may not know, the various types of leadership style, what is transformational? What is servant? And how did you land it? This is going to be my leadership style.
All right. So, of course, as an in-hospital leadership, especially working in organizations early on in 2008, a facility that I worked at was on the magnet pathway. So transformational leadership is certainly not new to me. But it's meeting the people where they are, getting out, learning about their behaviors that will influence your leadership style. It's not concrete, it's fluid. Transformational leadership encompasses authoritarian leadership, laissez-faire, servant, all of the ones. So you have to kind of meet your staff where they are, develop a community, go out and see exactly how your staff's behavior influences your leadership style, and that's what makes leaders transformational.
Wow. But you also mentioned there was a hint of servant leadership. What is that?
Yeah, servant leadership, right? You have to be able to do, you want to do what you're encouraging others to do. So you want to lead the way, but not lead your people. You don't want to drag them. You want to create paths for them to follow. So being a servant leader, you're creating opportunities. And you see through my career, I kind of land on that, right? Creating opportunities for others, lighting the path for others to follow. That's my version of a servant leader, giving back.
Wow. And when we talk about servant leader, you said creating a path. I
Mm-hmm.
think you've done exactly that. In that intro, I said you've trained some 240,000 nurses. How did we go from the bedside to training 240,000 nurses under your direct supervision? How does that happen?
It really happened over time. As I said, early on, DJ, I looked at Imminent as, that side gig.
Yeah.
I never, out the door, I didn't look at it as ever something that I would do full time. Of course, in nursing, I thought of the traditional pathway was really meant for me, right? Early on, a director. And so I knew, next step was VP, CNO, and all the things, right? Thought that was my path. And then as I started with, CPR, the AHA way, and then started to add my own courses and add ENA courses and other certification courses and other education specialties in that. It just kind of morphed into its own thing. And then I realized, like, wait, this is my path. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is how I will lead. This is how I will impact nursing. This is how my influence, it will be built around my business and not my in-hospital leadership style.
Wow. It's great to talk to someone who stepped away from the bedside and started their own business. But as we talk about leadership, right, I'm sure you've had to hire some leaders. What are you looking for when you hire leaders? What qualities do you look for in a leader?
All right. So when I'm looking to hire leaders, I'm looking again for them to be transformational, for them to be servant, for them to be different, to be able to walk the walk that they're actually talking. I need them to be able to do what they say they're going to do. Honest, trustworthiness.
Yes.
I'll take that over competence.
Wow.
I'll teach you how to be competent. I need you to be honest and tell me what you don't know so that I can fix it. I'll fix it.
Yes.
Honesty and trustworthiness over competence any day.
I think that's interesting because as leaders, we don't just arrive. So we have to continue to educate. We have to continue to learn. We have to continue to grow. So what do you do as a leader to continue to expand your knowledge base and continue to be the best leader that you are?
DJ, I'm at every conference ever. I attend so many conferences and updates, and I tune into virtual meetings that I'm not actually invited to. If I can tag somebody on Facebook and they send me a Zoom link for maybe their meeting, I'm there. If it's something interesting, I'll give you an example of that. Just this week, one of our Texas Organization of Nursing Leaders in a different region than I'm in had a meeting about AI. And I looked at it on Facebook and I said, wow, this is an interesting subject. So I, kind of said, hey, may I be invited to this link? Can I get a link? They were so happy to have me. And it ended up being this interesting topic. And so I'm always looking to expand my leadership, expand how will Imminent move forward with AI? How do I integrate that into the Imminent Healthcare Resources Consultants umbrella, right? And so that's things that I do. EN23, of course, I was there, emergency nursing. I'm always there to, trying to get to magnet conferences. And although I'm not in in-hospital leadership, if I attend conferences like that, it's through my business. So it would be for as a publisher from a book that I've written or something like that. The BCN conferences and all the things. I'm usually at kind of all of them. I attend about 10 to 15, maybe more conferences a year. And that doesn't include state meetings and just like virtual webinars.
Listen, it sounds like you have a busy and packed schedule. It sounds like you said, you're at all these conferences. But as a leader, one of the things we have to worry about is our mental health and
Mhm.
self care time. So, how do you incorporate self care time for yourself as a leader, knowing that you're running a successful business, you're a doctoral student, you're attending conferences, you're hosting conferences, you're speaking at conferences, you are the conference.
I, some of them I am a conference. Sometimes I'm invited just to say I am at the conference. Yeah, you're right about that. So that happens.
So, how do you take time out for yourself, for your mental health, so you can continue to serve others?
Right. So again, I have the one of the best executive assistants ever. She knows to block my self care time. Self care truly is the best care. So I continue to work out, as much as I can. I don't get in there every day like I should, but of course I
Yeah.
did today. So all kinds of things, and I take time for massages and for chiropractic adjustments, and just I have always once a month I have lunch with a friend of mine who's still in hospital leadership, to break away. And it's what we do. I make sure that whenever she's off, I make time to have that one lunch with her. It's at Applebee's out of all places. It's so funny that we're the only people that probably still eat there, but we do. And so, but it's for her. It's for us. It's our time that we get to connect, and it really helps me and it helps her. We can talk about anything there from shoes to nails to, the stuff going on in her world or my world, and it's totally okay.
I think we all need, that one person that we can, connect with and challenges us and helps us grow and helps us succeed. So, in that realm, I've used a professional coach. I've used mentors. Have you had the pleasure of having mentors or professional coaches? And what are your thoughts on them?
I've not had a professional coach. I do have mentors.
Okay.
I do not have a professional coach, but I think it's essential in nursing
Yes.
to have a mentor or a professional coach
Yeah.
that can kind of guide you, right? Remember that coaching is not about the here and now. Coaching is actually about the future.
Ooh.
It doesn't go on what you've done in the past. A coach should get you to your future goals. So that is
Wow.
very important.
Wow. You're dropping little pearls and nuggets for the inspiring leaders that are watching this podcast, and for some of the successful leaders that are currently watching this podcast. I want to step back for a minute because you mentioned something that you just recently went to a conference or attended a Zoom meeting, and it was on AI and technology. How can leaders incorporate technology and AI or whatever the case is into their leadership style and use it to motivate and empower their teams? What are your thoughts on that?
And I'm going to be really frank. I love what AI has to offer us, although I feel that we should bear with caution in nursing. I think that AI has a lot to offer leadership in his way.
Yes.
So if someone comes into your office, you're stuck on what you need to say to them. You can take that to AI and figure out what's the best way to tell them this or that. Take what AI produces, personalize it, make it yours, and deliver it. So AI has a place in leadership. It also will in the future have a place in nursing. I just think that we need to bear with caution with it right now. There are some things about AI, like for me in my head, I always think the innovative business approach. And I go to staffing right away, right? And
Yes.
so because it's the numbers. So will we ever see a day when we can have a bot, help us take care of 20 patients in emergency services when we're used to taking care of per se 4? We know that we teach in nursing not to nurse monitors, but could we monitor our patients more effectively if we did have a bot that could
Yeah.
monitor, the
I
patients and
understand. No,
things
and
like
then
that, or interpret the rhythms that maybe our staff is not competent enough to do. It has a place,
yeah.
but we should be ever cautious.
But it's interesting as I talk to people about AI. My background is in nursing as well, and I have to tell people, AI has always been here, and I have to break it down to the most simplest level for people. We've all had those thermostats at home,
Mhm.
where if you take a temperature and it's out of range, and let's just say it's 100, the little screen turns from green to red. Well, that is a form of AI. This is a clinical decision unit. That is a form of AI. So we've always had that here, in the healthcare systems, right? We've had these clinical pathways to say you should do this or that based off what we put into the system. That is no different than what we see now. It's just it's at the forefront. So with me, one of my areas of expertise is informatics. I think we should embrace it and learn how to utilize it to offer better quality care, better our patient outcomes. From a business perspective, it's endless what we can do with it now that it's here. It's really amazing. And you talked about staffing and assisting. I'm thinking about how it can analyze trends and review copious amounts of data that took somebody by hand. You can put in your assignments, what you need as far as shifts and things, and it helps you with staffing. We know staffing in healthcare is a top issue. One of the largest health systems is striking right now, so we know that staffing is a top issue, and maybe embracing that technology could really help us. So I thank you for that bit. When we talk about leadership, right, we know that it's not always roses. And we know that sometimes, we fail as leaders. Do you have a time that you can think of that you made a decision and it wasn't as well received, or it didn't go as well as you thought it would be, and you kind of had to walk it back? What was that decision, and would you learn from it in regards to your leadership style and that thought process?
Oh, I've had a lot of those.
So let me pick one out of hand.
I have not been a perfect leader. I've had a lot of those days. But to regroup, again, I'll go back to my earliest days of learning how to lead. I think that those early days of me in leadership were probably my worst days in leadership.
Yes.
I'll speak to those. And it was just, again, I was too numerical. I was too business oriented in early leadership. I didn't learn how to connect nursing to business until years later, as far as influencing my nurses and my staff and keeping them happy. I didn't see the need to early on. It was just about, the books, the bottom line. How do I make my CVICU better or my ED better? It was never, ever about the staff. And so I think that was one of my biggest thoughts. And then how I recuperated from that, as I said before, was to live and learn, to educate and develop, and to be able to say, hey, it was the worst days of my life was when I first started to lead of my nursing career. Of course, upper leadership loved it because I said the things that they, needed to say but couldn't say, and I did the things that needed to be done to make an impact, financially for the facility or the hospital system, So I think that those were some of the worst, and how I recouped from it was to admit it, learn it, and speak about it today. Goodness gracious, still hurts.
And what's nice is that you can be open and honest with yourself. And I think that's one of the things nurse leaders and leaders in general, we have to be honest and open with ourselves in order to grow both personally and professionally. I think one of the challenges that sometimes leaders face is surrounding themselves with people who will challenge them and push them. So how do you surround yourself with people as the leader who are not afraid to challenge you if need be, but know when you say what you say, you mean what you say? So how do you surround yourself with people who are just not yes men?
Yeah. So I told you, I'll take trustworthiness and open and honesty over competence anyway. I'll teach you what I want you to know. I need you to be able to tell me the truth. If I'm going left and I should go right, because I'm going left because I'm going to go off the bridge, and going right, I'm going to stay on track. I need you to be able to tell me that right is the best way.
Yes.
I don't need you to be like, oh, you're a great driver, but you're driving toward a bridge. I need you to tell me which way to go. And I'm serious. I need you to tell me. I'm so dramatic now. But I need you to tell me which way to go. I need you to be open and honest and know that you can talk to me.
Yes.
Straight up. You can cut the fluff. If I'm going toward the bridge, I don't need you to tell me about how green the grass is on the way to driving off the bridge. Right? So I need you to tell me, hey, you're going the wrong way. Right is right.
I love it.
Dramatic I want to be, but anyway.
I love your perspective on leadership. I love how, you embrace it and you grow and you've learned and it's oozing out of you. As we talk about leadership, what role does diversity, equity, and inclusion play in leadership? I think you mentioned early on, and I don't remember, there's so many platforms, but one of them, you're the first African-American to hold that position. So talk to us about that. And then, like I said, which role does diversity, equity, and inclusion play in leadership?
Okay. So I am the first Black nurse to be inducted into the Academy of Emergency Nursing. I know that my background, my global influence has gotten me a seat there, and I certainly appreciate that. But diversity, equity, and inclusion it's needed everywhere. We should always, in leadership and beyond, look for others who are not like us, who don't see the world as we see it, to help us become a better world. That applies to in-hospital leadership, it applies to business, it applies to politics, it applies to everything. It has a place. We need to look at it in every step. Am I doing justice? Am I considering diversity? Am I considering equity, inclusivity, or how can I get there if I haven't? And it's far beyond just saying, hey, I have one here, so we're good. We check that block. We're diverse. It's more than that. It's so much more than that. We check the block. Okay, we got that color. Okay, we got this kind. Okay, we have this religion. It's a lot. It's a lot more than that. It's to consider it every day, in all things, in all avenues, in every decision. Am I being just? Because for nursing, it's our ethic. It's our ethics. It's our ethics. It's embedded in our ethics, in our very core. It's
Yeah.
there. And so I think that maybe along the way, it's not been at the forefront, but it should have been.
Ooh, powerful.
I said it.
And I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna receive it, and I love it. I appreciate your open and honesty on this podcast. And with all the knowledge and all the skills you gained over the years, as you talked about, right, as a part of your MSN, you started Imminent CPR, and it has grown, it has blossomed. So talk to us about your organization. What do you do? How can people reach your organization? I have it here on screen, and obviously there's some people listening, so they can't see the screen. But tell us about your organization. I see this big red thing. We keep you current. What does that mean?
Oh, absolutely. Imminent CPR. We keep you current, and it's trademarked. But so my business actually started as my MBA capstone in 2006. So we're headed into year 17, 18 here. What started off as an American Heart Association training center totally warped into a consultant. So under that Imminent Healthcare Resources Consultants umbrella, there's a few DBAs, and Imminent CPR is one of those. There's also the Imminent Leadership Institute that's also DBA'd under Imminent Healthcare Resources. So there's AHA courses, there's leadership review courses, there's clinical review courses for emergency nurses, there's leadership development webinars, my speaking engagements and podcasts. There's an avenue to reach me there. There's so many things, instructor courses, mentoring sessions, even nurse tutoring is also offered. I do have a team available to help even nursing schools and nursing students to supplement what they're doing in the classroom. So it's morphed into this huge thing.
Wow.
Absolutely proud moment of you sharing that.
Yeah, listen, you should be proud. We're going to clap for you. We're going to clap for you because you are doing it, right? You stepped away from the bedside. You continue to master and perfect the field of nursing. As we talked about, you bring professional excellence, clinical excellence to this field, and it is what we need. And we need you at the helm. We need you to continue to educate another 240,000 nurses. That's what we're looking for. Clinically competent nurses. And they get that by partnering with you and organizations such as yourself to continue to grow their skills. As I tell people, whether it's leadership or professional, you don't stop because you got that RN or LPN after your name. Those books are already expired when they got to you. And then once you get in the field, that knowledge is already expired because technology changes. Leadership philosophies change, right? So, you do it by attending the conferences, which you're doing. You do it by writing books, developing coursework, being published in journals, all things that you're doing and have done. So, as we draw this podcast to a close, what could you leave current leaders and inspiring leaders with that will, motivate them to continue to serve and be great?
Right. You know, what I want to tell current leaders and aspiring leaders is to truly be own your craft, right? We're all very different. Either that be nurse entrepreneurship, nurse leadership, nurse consultant, educator, clinical nurse specialist, CRNAs. Own your craft. Stay current in your craft, and always make a plan for the future. For the future, right now, nursing in and of itself is very techno savvy. Look beyond what we're doing now. Think about 20 years from now. How will innovation, how will DEIJ, how will all of the great things impact your practice, and find your role in that and create your path? If you can't do that, find someone who can help you.
I love it. I love it. I am just in awe. Shawntay, how can they reach out to you? Obviously, you have a LinkedIn and things. You have a website. What is that website?
It's imminentcpr.com, and you can reach me from our website. There's a little mailbox that follows you around on the website in case you want to email me or connect with me. My cell number is also on there. My business number is on there. LinkedIn, my LinkedIn profile is basically my name. I don't use Twitter a lot, but I'm on there. Instagram too. Don't use those platforms a lot. Facebook is where you can truly find me and connect with me, and I totally welcome that.
Wow. Shawntay, thank you for joining us on Sound Leadership. I'm so grateful that you
Thank you.
took time out of your day to connect with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Listen, I haven't laughed this hard on the podcast in a while, so I appreciate it. It is natural. So to have someone come on and really get my day started, I really appreciate it. And I want to thank the viewers and listeners for joining us here on Sound Leadership with DJ. We hope you gained invaluable insights from our conversation with Shawntay. If you've enjoyed this episode, we encourage you to like and follow our social media pages for more great content. You can find us on YouTube and LinkedIn at Sound Leadership with DJ. Also, don't forget to tune into our podcast on your favorite platforms, including Apple Music, Alexa, iHeart, and so much more. Simply search Sound Leadership with DJ and hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on our latest episodes. I want you to remember something. Leadership is a journey, not a destination. Keep striving to learn and grow, and never give up on your goals. We wish you all the best on your leadership journey and look forward to having you join us again soon for more insightful discussions on Sound Leadership with DJ.